All right, let's talk about something that's, well, it's pretty unsettling. Psychological manipulation. We're going to dive deep, decode the tactics people use to mess with your head, and, this is the important part, give you the tools you need to fight back. Let's get right into it.
I mean, have you ever walked away from a conversation just feeling weird? Like you feel confused or maybe even a little guilty, but you have no idea why? You know that feeling, right? You keep replaying it in your head, trying to figure out what just happened. It's like you've been spun in a circle and you can't quite find your footing. Well, that feeling, it actually has a name. It's called dark psychology. It's basically the study of how people manipulate, exploit, and control others. It's where someone learns to pull the strings and influence gets twisted into a weapon. Okay, so if you're going to defend yourself, you first have to know exactly what you're fighting, right? You have to be able to name it. That's always the first step. So let's get some clear definitions down. So at the very heart of all of this is a single word: manipulation. And here's the thing you have to remember. It is always intentional. It's not some accident. The manipulator has a goal, and trust me, that goal is almost always about what's best for them, not for you. It's a calculated move every single time. Dark psychology. That's where things get, well, darker. Look, we all try to persuade people, right? You try to convince a friend to see a movie you like. That's normal. But this is different. This is what happens when you take empathy completely out of the picture. Persuasion turns into coercion. Influence becomes all about control, and it's all driven by purely selfish motives. And maybe the most powerful and most insidious tactic of them all is something you've probably heard of: gaslighting. The whole point of gaslighting is to make you doubt your own reality. It's designed to make you question your memory, your feelings, even your sanity, until you feel like you need the manipulator just to know what's real. It's incredibly destructive. You know, the history of this word is pretty wild. It didn't just pop out of nowhere. It actually started with a play way back in 1938 called Gaslight. Then a movie version in the 40s made the idea famous. But it really blew up recently. By 2016, it was called the most useful new word. And then, get this, in 2022, Merriam-Webster named it their official word of the year. It literally took decades for us to have a common word for this awful behavior. So how does this actually work? What do they do? Well, manipulators aren't usually creative geniuses. They tend to use the same old tricks, a kind of playbook designed to mess with our emotions. So let's crack open that playbook and see what's inside. First on the list is a tactic that honestly feels amazing when it's happening. It's called love bombing. Think of it like a surprise attack, but with affection. It's this super intense, over-the-top wave of attention and praise, and it's all designed to make you drop your guard. So you hear things like, "You're my soulmate," after knowing them for like a week. It's nonstop texts, unexpected gifts, talk about your future together way too soon. It feels so good, right? But here's the hard truth. It's not real love. It's bait. The whole point is to get you hooked on them emotionally and fast, so that later, when the manipulation really starts, you won't want to leave. All right, next up is an old classic, and I bet we've all been on the receiving end of this one: guilt tripping. This is all about making you feel like their emotions are your fault. Hearing something like this, it's a perfect example of how they flip the script. You have a totally valid reason to be upset, but they twist it to make you look like the bad guy, the ungrateful one. And what happens? You end up being the one who apologizes just to make things okay again. It's a total power move. And then we have the weapon of silence, the silent treatment. Now, this isn't the same as someone saying, "Hey, I need a little space to cool off." No. This is a cold, calculated act of punishment. It's a total power play. They go cold, they ignore you, and it creates this awful feeling of anxiety. You start racking your brain thinking, what did I do? What did I say? Their silence is designed to make you desperate to get back in their good graces, which of course puts them completely in charge. So you have to wonder, right? What kind of person does this stuff all the time? Well, psychology actually has a term for it. It points to a combination of 3 personality traits called the dark triad. You can think of this as the psychological engine that drives this kind of behavior. So this triad is made up of 3 key things. First, you've got narcissism. That's that constant, desperate need for admiration and to be in control. Then there's Machiavellianism, which is a fancy way of saying they're strategic, deceptive, and see other people as pieces on a chessboard to be moved around for their own benefit. And finally, psychopathy. This is the real chilling one, a total lack of empathy or guilt. They can hurt you and genuinely not feel bad about it. You mix those three together, you get the perfect recipe for a chronic manipulator. Okay, that was a lot, and it's pretty heavy stuff. We've named the threat, we've looked inside the playbook. But now, we get to the most important part. What do you do about it? How do you build your own psychological shield and take back your power? Let's break it down into 3 core pillars of defense. First up, the slow no. See, manipulators love to rush you, so your defense is to slow things down. Just say, I'll have to think about that. Boom, you've just taken back control. Second, you have to rebuild your reality. Gaslighting messes with your head, so write things down. Keep a record, talk to friends you trust, and get a reality check. And third, you need to know how to counter something called DARVO. It's when they deny what they did, attack you for bringing it up, and reverse the roles of victim and offender. When you see that happening, just refuse to engage. Don't play their game. And building that shield isn't just a one-time thing. It's a whole new mindset. You've got to know what your emotional buttons are so you know what they're trying to push. You have to learn to set firm boundaries. And remember, no is a full sentence. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Keep track of what's happening so you can see the patterns. Try to emotionally detach from all the drama they create. And maybe the most important rule of all, don't let them isolate you. Talk to people. Connection absolutely destroys their power. And when things get really tough, when that self-doubt starts to creep in, you need a mantra, something to ground you. Just repeat this to yourself. My memory is valid. My feelings are real. Say it over and over. Because it's true. Your reality is yours, and nobody gets to take that away from you. So when you boil it all down, what's the ultimate defense? It's actually really simple. First, you have to be able to name the tactic you're seeing. And second, you have to refuse to play the game. Once you can spot what they're doing, oh, that's guilt tripping, it loses its power over you. You see the strings, and you can choose not to dance. So I'll leave you with this thought. Now that you've seen the playbook, now that you know the moves, you're not just a player in their game anymore. You're an observer who knows the rules. So the question is, which games will you refuse to play?